Hello, and welcome to another edition of Passions, the Supernatural Podcast, the podcast where we discuss what we consider to be the best soap opera ever, Passions. How you doing? I'm Joe Velasquez. With me today is my lovely co-host, Casey
Hi.
Metcalf. How you doing?
Yep.
Glad you're
Yep.
with me again. Now, over the last 7 weekends, I have enjoyed hosting this show and chatting with my very special co-host and very good friend here, and we've had a good run so far, talking and discussing this late soap opera that ran from the 90s to 2008. So it's fitting that today, on today's episode, we have our very first special guest star with us to discuss for a whole hour show a celebrity from Passions. He played Chad Harris Crane, number one. Please welcome to our show, Donn Swaby. Welcome.
Swaby, actually, it's Swaby.
Swaby, my bad, Swaby. Sorry, but I always had that problem. Swaby, Swaby. Okay, I'll remember that. Swaby, Donn Swaby.
It
People.
rhymes with baby, so Swaby baby. Just remember that, and then
Great way to remember that, baby Swaby. Great. Well, welcome,
Yeah.
man. So glad you could make it. You're our first guest on our show. So how
I'm
you doing?
honored to be on it.
So how's life been going for you? How are things going? How is everything?
I'm okay, man. I'm doing all right. I am busy just doing my work, which is the work of being a creator and a creative person. So I just had my first novel came out maybe 4 months ago now. I'm still promoting it. It's a middle grade novel. So the protagonist is 12 years old, and it's an Indiana Jones sort of inspired adventure story with heart. And also continuing to work on various projects, other children's books, as I made my venture into the children's literature world maybe a decade ago or so, and got some other projects as well with some producers. Can't really talk about them, to be honest. I wish I could, but I can't.
Okay.
But they are working on several projects, screenplays, a sci-fi TV drama series, and a musical, a full-length musical that I wrote based upon my first traditionally published children's picture book, It'll Be Irie, which is an immigrant story about a little boy who moves from Jamaica to Jamaica, Queens with his parents. So that's what I've been doing.
So you really are busy. Wow, you really got yourself
That's
going.
cool.
Yeah, and if I am correct in everything, I mean um Instagram, it says on your Instagram you're also a musician.
Yep, I've been playing guitar since I was 14. Currently not in a band, but I am right now preparing for what's called a jam. The uh, organization called Rockin' a Thousand. They're the people that put together like 1,000 musicians in like a stadium to play one song.
Hmm.
And so they started in Italy, and they've gone all around the world, like 11 different countries. And they're actually starting that Rockin' 1,000 thing here in the US, in New Orleans, with 1,000 people. However, the last 3 or 4 months, what they've been doing in certain cities in the US, including Los Angeles, where I live, is hosting a jam where they have on their app listed songs that you can sign up to play, essentially, and then you rehearse those songs, and we all meet up on the night of the jam. It's taking place here in LA at the Hard Rock Cafe, where we'll be getting together and rocking out. And so I'm excited, really excited. I'll be playing 3 songs next week. So I signed up. I'm playing Paradise City by Guns N' Roses, All My Life by Foo Fighters, and the third song is Enter Sandman by Metallica. So
Wow.
that's all stuff up my alley because that's stuff I grew up on.
Mm-hmm.
And so
Yeah,
so I'm in
I
the
mean,
80s.
you
Yeah.
probably do a lot better than I do because I play the guitar as well, but I can't necessarily like dun 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 dun. All I can really do is dun dong, dong. That's really all I can really do is just like take little strums and then
That's
sing a
okay,
bit.
man. That's okay. Play it how
I
you
haven't
play
done
it.
it in years. I haven't done it in so many years. I'm afraid that once I get my guitar again, whenever that will be, I'm afraid I'm not going to remember how to play. It's been so long. Um, but I'm a singer myself, actually, as well. I'm a singer more than I am anything else. Broadway musical theater is my life.
Okay,
Um, yep,
excellent.
yeah. Um, but man, really, really, really
What
cool.
musicals did you like growing? What were your favorite musicals? Just
Oh,
curious.
well, for me, my current favorite musical and has been for a good number of years has been The Phantom of the Opera. That's my all-time favorite and everything. It has been for a good number of years. But I grew up on, oh man, I mean, I knew of musical theater prior to this, but I think the very, very first actual like one that went it left Broadway and set out on tour that I used to live in Illinois. That's where I'm originally from. I'm originally from Illinois, about an hour away from Chicago, so I saw a lot of touring shows there. I think Beauty and the Beast might have been the very first touring show fresh off Broadway that I ever saw, and I've just kept on going and I saw a lot of shows in Chicago. Since I moved to New York, I have seen many shows in New York. Um, many. I already have tickets to go for the third time. This is not a musical, but it's on Broadway. I have already tickets for in January for the third time. I'm going to see Harry Potter and the Cursed Child. So I'll be
So you'll
seeing
be
that.
seeing, I believe she's still in it. Eva Kaminsky is a BU grad, a Boston University graduate with me. She was one of my classmates, and I believe she's still in it. She was playing Miss McGonagall or Miss Gonagall or something. I forgot that McGonagall,
Professor
something like
McGonagall.
that.
That's who.
But I
Yeah, that's
believe she's
Professor
still in
McGonagall.
the show, so you may be seeing
Oh,
her.
yeah. If I meet her at the stage door, I'll mention you. Interesting. Okay, yeah. Um, yeah, like I said earlier, I mean Casey here was like very excited when she found out that you were gonna be joining us. She's like, "Oh my God, it's gonna
Yeah.
be another celebrity she gets to meet, right, Casey?"
Yeah. I met Ron Moss from Bold and the Beautiful.
Excellent.
Yeah,
Okay.
He
I've
he's a music he does singing too. I was at Blue Ash when I met him. He came up to me and like, oh my gosh, you Ron Moss. So he gave me his autograph so I can give it to my mom because my mom was a Soul fan. And my mom's not here anymore. She passed 10 years ago from cancer.
Sorry to hear.
So yeah,
Yeah, my
yeah.
yeah.
father passed away 13 years ago. So
I'm sorry to hear
I
that,
I'm
feel
man.
sorry
that,
for
you
the
know, the
loss.
loss of a parent, you know, is unlike anything else.
Both my parents are still with me, but I unfortunately lost my both of my grandparents though actually, and I'm still upset over the loss of my grandmother even though she passed away. Um, I think I a large part of me wants to say 2014, but it might have been 13. And even after all these years, I'm still not over her passing. So yeah, but
And I
both my
don't think we
parents.
ever do. We never get over it. What happens is the pain lessens over time. It's 13 years for me as my with my father. I still miss him every single day, and I wish I could hear him. And I
Oh,
believe he's with me actually. I mean, my spiritual belief system is that, you know, that love remains and that we ourselves are eternal. So the soul that played the role of my father in this life is still connected to me, and I feel him or feel that presence of that spirit
that is a very
a lot.
beautiful thought, man. That's very beautiful, man. And I wish I had those kind of beliefs. I mean, I do, but they kind of go back and forth a little bit. Um, so we gotta ask some things here, man. I mean, this whole point of this whole the point of this whole podcast and everything about the late show passions and everything. I mean, um before we begin anything is just out of, I mean you're probably the one that would know this the most, but when people meet you or when people look at you, is like passions what you're mostly known for, or is there something else that people know you more from? Do you know? I mean,
No, that would be pretty much the main thing. I think that people If they recognize me at all, it would be because perhaps they've seen that. I mean, there are people every once in a blue moon who will recognize me from something else, either the television work that I've done, whether it be Sopranos, Crossing Jordan, or sitcom work that I've done. Again, these are sitcoms and shows, drama series. Judging Amy was another one that I did. Crossing Jordan. I
Yeah.
did the third to last episode of the original Charmed. So I was I played a demon named Zohar, who
Ooh.
battled the witches at the end of that episode and lost, of course.
Yes.
Um, and so yeah, so sometimes people will say, "Oh, hey, I just saw, that episode that you did way back, or I'm binge watching Sopranos. Oh, I saw you on that bridge scene, or I, was watching like Monk or something, and I had done the show Monk several years ago, and as a guest star, and people say, "Oh, hey, I saw your episode on Monk that replayed the other day." So every once in a while, people will still see me other places, but as far as what I'm most known for is probably still Passions.
Yeah. Yeah. And if you can remember, because it's been a good number of years, I was actually going to start with this question, but we got really on the roll. But if you can remember, because it's been a good number of years since the show started, that you were on the show and left the show, how'd you get the part? I mean, what was that experience like? I mean, did you just get a call, or was there an audition, or what was that like? How'd you get the part?
Well, as you assumed, it was an audition. It's an audition process.
Mhm.
And in fact, what I tell people is that I was doing Raisin in the Sun the summer of 1999 at the Williamstown Theater Festival with a stellar cast of
Mhm.
actors. In fact, Viola Davis was in that production, and that was the second time I'd actually worked with Viola. I'd done a staged reading of a play by Moliere on Broadway with her, just a reading, really. But it was an all-star cast, and of course, at the time, I was not well known in anything. So it was just a great experience to work with phenomenal actors. Raisin in the Sun, we had the late Gloria Foster, who in my generation, and probably yours as well, is only known as playing the Oracle, the first Oracle in the Matrix film series. She unfortunately passed away before she could do the third film, but she played the matriarch in Raisin in the Sun. If you know the play, I'm not sure if you know it.
I'm not afraid I don't know.
Uh, by Langston Hughes. Yeah. I mean, sorry, no, Brazen in the Sun. I just committed a huge faux pas, and I'm blanking on her name, and that's a crime. I'm gonna have to look it up. But yeah, it's an African American playwright who actually died shortly after the play debuted. But we had a great cast of people, and the show was slated to go to Broadway, in fact, because it had done so well at the Williamstown Theater Festival, which is upstate New York. It was about 2, 3 hours north of New York City. And in fact, I was going back to New York City to audition for various projects throughout the production, taking a train back to New York City. And unfortunately, one of those experiences was so bad. I was auditioning at the time for Spike Lee's Love and Basketball, that film. And I went down, took a train back to New York City, went to Brooklyn to his production building. They'd forgotten about my audition. I was sitting outside of a building for hours trying to communicate with my manager, my agent, saying what's going on. Oh, they forgot you. Oh my God, no one's there. Okay, just wait. And it was such a bad experience that on the train ride back up state to Williamstown, I was like, I'm not coming back for anything. I'm just going to stay up here, do this play, and then when I'm done, I'll come back to New York. So when my manager called initially the next week saying, oh, hey, there's this new soap opera called Passions. They'd like you to audition. I said no. I said no. I said I'm not doing it. I'm not going down. I'm not going to waste another weekend on a stupid train to go down to New York City just to audition for like 20 minutes for something, and then have to be on another 2.5 hour, 3 hour train going back and waste another weekend. I'm not doing that. So just forget it. So passed on it. About 2, 3 weeks later, the run is finished, and I went back to New York City, and my manager's like, hey, guess what? They're still looking for somebody for that role. So they still want to see you. So you might as well go in. So of course I went in and auditioned, and I got a call back. And when I did the call back, I think that was the time when I really realized, okay, the casting director really seemed to like me, and I could tell. And then after that, a couple days later, I got the call from my agent. Hey, they want you to do a screen test. And again, this is all standard procedure in terms of how they cast for a network show. And so screen test is basically where you're going to be actually on a set with other actors, with lighting, with sound, with makeup on, with costumes, with cameras, the whole thing. And so me and seven other guys, I and seven other guys flew down to LA from wherever we were around the country. So it was 8 of us, and we all auditioned. And that weekend that we auditioned, that we had come down to LA, I'll never forget for several reasons. The cab ride from LAX to Burbank, which is where I was staying and where the audition was going to be, this guy said, oh, hey, it's an older cabbie driving the car. I said, hey, what are you here for? I said, oh, I'm here for an audition. He said, oh, you're going to get it. I'm like, oh, that's nice. Thanks.
Whoa.
And he's like, no, 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 you don't understand. I'm telling you, you're going to get it. And then he proceeded to tell me that he's been driving cabs for like 30, 40 years. And literally every actor that's been in his cab who said that they were here for something got it. And we're talking big things. So he started naming these actors, and they're pretty big actors. I can't remember them now, but he was like, oh yeah, all of them were in my cab at one point trying to get that first big role, and they all got it. So I'm telling you, kid, and he's looking at me in the rearview mirror, you're gonna get it. So that was the first like sign, like, oh, okay. I did the audition. I remember I did the screen test, and I did mine with Brooke. Brooke was actually working with all of us, so we did one scene, the same scene, each of us with Brooke. And after that was done, we did a photo shoot with Brooke and Jennifer Hazel, who's used to be known as Lena Cardwell, aka the first Simone.
Yes.
And even after that, I know that Brooke felt, at least because she kind of let me know in so many words, that she felt that I was the best candidate for the role, and that she probably thought I was going to get it. And that was it. There was just this feeling. It was just this feeling. It had gone so well. And I remember that I just gave it all I got, and it just hit, here it is. And a week later, I went back to New York. And a week later, I got the call. I got a call. I got my pager went off. This is back in the day in the 90s when we had pagers. So my pager went off, ran to a payphone in New York City, in Manhattan, called my agent, and he said 3 words. You got it.
I
That was
knew that
it.
was.
You got it. I was like, damn, wow. That was it. And then he said the next sentence, this is a Wednesday, guys. This is a Wednesday. He said, okay, so you have a costume fitting on Friday, this Friday, and you have your first 3 episodes this Monday. It's Wednesday, guys. I live in New Jersey and on a Wednesday. And I'm like, okay, so how am I supposed to do all of this in like 5 days? What?
Yeah.
I basically had to move in like 2 days. I packed all my stuff in like a day and a half. This is insane. I mean, it really was like, oh my God, it was just all of a
I
sudden,
bet.
it was right. It was like a roller coaster. It was like, the moment just when you're up, just before it falls, as soon as he said, you got it, away I went. It was literally like my life. Everything's in boxes in 2 days, and I'm on a plane Thursday night. Friday I get to LA, stay with a friend, do the costume fitting at NBC, or actually CBS Radford, which is where we shot the show,
Mhm.
in Studio City, LA. And that, in fact, my 26th birthday was that weekend. So I turned 26 that Saturday, is the next day. So that Saturday was my birthday. And no, I wasn't celebrating. What I was doing is sitting my butt in my friend's apartment by myself because he had gone to work or whatever, just basically memorizing lines, like memorizing approximately uh 60 pages of dialogue, 60, 70 pages over 3 episodes of dialogue. So it was a trial by fire. It was pretty intense. And of course, that Monday, when it was my time to shoot, and I went in and met everybody and just started shooting those scenes. And 3.5 hours later, I slogged through all of these scenes, and thankfully, because of my background as a theater actor, I was able, and plus I had a freakish ability to memorize really quickly. I just always have. So yeah, I was able to get those 60 pages down in my head in a couple days, and was on the set doing it a couple days later. So that was my beginning. That was how I ended up being on Passions.
Wow. Man, Casey, if you and I ever decide to go up for soap operas, I guess this is what we're gonna have to. Wow.
And I'd also like to give you an exclusive bit of info that I don't think I've told anybody else, which is a little very interesting. And I'm going to say it this way. There was a soap opera before Passions that was short-lived, guys, and it was called Sunset Beach. And in
Oh,
fact, I had auditioned for Sunset Beach.
it
And
sounds familiar.
and in fact, Sunset Beach, here's the thing, is the same
I remember
production
that.
crew, because half of the crew from Sunset Beach ended up going on to Passions,
Hmm.
which is interesting. However, anyway, like this is like 2 years before, so it was like 97, and I auditioned for this show, got a call back, and then thought, oh, they really like me. And it was just for this role named Michael. So I'll never forget when my manager called me and she said, well, they're not going to go any further with you. I said, why? She said, well, they really like you as an actor, but they think you just don't look the part. And I'm like, what do you mean? They're like, frankly, what they told me is he's too thin. He just doesn't look like a soap opera-ish
Oh,
guy. That guy's really kind of that was like I took it personally, and I
yeah.
was just like, are you kidding me? I'm not getting this role because I don't weigh enough. Oh my gosh, that's insane. And so interestingly enough, because of that, guys, that winter, 98 into 99, I was doing a play in Rhode Island. And I for that moment, and I'd always worked out. I've been somebody who's worked out since I was like 13, really, because my dad worked out when I was growing up, and he had weights in our basement. So when I was 13, 14, I started actually lifting weights, and I was part of the weightlifting club in high school, so I knew how to lift weights and all that. However, I was still 155. And that winter, I decided, okay, I'm going to bulk up. I'm going to bulk up. Because I was doing this play where I had a small role, I had a lot of free time compared to the other people in the cast. So I really just started this regimen, this workout regimen and this routine. And I, upped my protein intake, of course. I was using creatine, which is a supplement that you use that helps, well, basically water retention in muscles and helps you sort of bulk up quicker. And at the same time, I was eating better and I was working out in a different way, more intensely. And within 2.5 months, I packed on 25 pounds of muscle. So
Mm.
I was by the end of that show, I was about 175, 180, and just solid. That's the body that they saw in the auditions for Passions. And dare I say, had I not done that, I might have gotten the same thing. It might have been the same outcome as Sunset Beach. I might have said, well, hey, we got to pass on him because he is too thin. And I am proud of the fact that I did that without a trainer. But I do share that with the late Christopher Reeve, who is the very first cinematic Superman.
Of course.
Because as the story goes, I don't know if you guys know this, but when Chris Reeve was cast, they were almost going to recast him they were going to reconsider him because he was tall. He was like over 6 feet tall, but because he was so tall, he was thin. And they were like, dude, you just you don't look like Superman. You're a great actor, but you don't look like him. So David Prowse, who is an actor and a trainer, who we all, well, if you're a Star Wars fan, then you know that David Prowse
I am a fan of Star
was
Wars.
he was the body of Darth Vader. I mean, the voice of Darth
Oh,
Vader was James Earl Jones, of course, the great James, the late
boys.
now James Earl Jones. But David Prowse was a trainer. So David Prowse, and there's a documentary on this. You can look this up on YouTube because I've seen it. You see shots of David with Chris Reeve in the gym, working out, and Chris talks about bulking up and eating, a ton of food, a ton of, well, mostly protein and stuff. And I'm sure back then, it's maybe was not as scientific because I think he was like, oh, I'm just gonna eat, whatever. But yeah, he bulked up. He had to bulk up for Superman in order to keep that role. So I understand what that's like. I just, I get it. I get that because
Yeah.
I had a
I mean,
similar
I'm
experience.
not much of a Superman fan outside of Lois and Clark. I mean I'm not gonna lie, I haven't watched very much Lois and Clark, but I'm more of a romance nerd. I'm like a big fan of romance. That's where Lois and Clark comes
Me
in.
too.
But the actual Superman superhero story, I never really followed it, never been much of a fan.
Well,
But
if you've never seen the original, I would heartily recommend it, especially because of what you just said. Compared to the other Superman what's the word, versions that have come out, Henry Cavill, this more recent one that just came out this past year, uh, for several reasons. Yes, obviously I'm saying my favorite Superman is still the original because that's the one I grew up with, Chris Reeve.
right.
Although Henry Cavill is a close second, he did a great job. It's a completely different interpretation. But if you're into romance, my friend, then yeah, the Lois and Superman, Lois and Superman connection and the romantic thing is a huge theme and a huge part of that plot of that film. So I would recommend you watching it because of that, because the 1977 Superman film really played up the romance between Lois Lane and
If
Superman.
you remember that
And he plays it so well, and it's so the chemistry they had between him and Margot Kidder, Chris Reeve and Margot Kidder, was just phenomenal. So I'm gonna say you need to see it, and you'll enjoy that aspect of it.
kind of makes me start to wonder, man, maybe I should check out Superman a little bit more. Um, Now, man, that stuff is very interesting because I'll just say this really quickly is that while you're talking about working out and that you were too thin and everything, I'm actually the opposite, if you know what I mean. Because for me, I'll just say this. This is really interesting because my number you're probably gonna be shocked to hear this. I don't mean to be shocking either of you. Casey, I think you know this. I can't remember if I told you this yet or not, but for you, um I don't mean to be shocking anybody, but out of every single role in musical theater, there is so many beautiful roles in musical theater. Like I said, the Phantom of the Opera. There's the Lion King. There's like so many shows, Wicked, you name it. So many shows and roles out there in the world. But for me, um, out of all those powerful roles out there in the world, my number one dream role that I have wanted, I like to say, ever since I came out of the womb, I have wanted this role or whatever. My number one dream role is to play the Scarecrow in The Wizard of Oz. And I have been fighting for it for so many years, still haven't gotten it. And I will never forget this one theater that I did a production of Annie with, and then after I did Annie, I auditioned for a few other shows with them, but once I found out my characters, I kind of just didn't do them because I wasn't really too thrilled with working with that director. And she really just mostly saw me as more as this background actor, if you know what I mean. She never really saw my actual talent, and I felt like I was not really getting anywhere with her. However, when this director was at that same theater was doing auditions for The Wizard of Oz, I was like, "Oh my God, this might be my shot." And I go in there and I didn't get it. I lost it to a guy who I went to school with who got many of the lead roles in school. He was one of those favorites, if you know what I mean, who get all those actors, the same old people that keep on getting the roles over and over and over again. And the fact of it all was, he wasn't very good for the part, but the only reason he got the part was because he was thin. That's the only reason he got it. They took one look at him, they looked at his body, and he kind of went in there kind of knowing that he was going to get the part, because I remember sitting in the auditions with like a number of my other friends and a number of other auditioners, and somebody asked him, "What are you singing?" It's somebody in the audition room just sitting around. He's like, "Well, I figured to myself that if I'm gonna get a scarecrow, I need to go in there and sing a scarecrow song. So I'm singing a song called Dancing Through Life from Wicked." And then wouldn't you know it, when they made the cast, he was the part. So I was like, I knew him, and I was like thinking, ever since then I started thinking to myself, if I want to get my dream role, I need to lose weight. And so I have been, oh my god, I like I said, this is the part that I'm saying, I don't mean to be shocking you, but I I guess you can kind of say that I've went about it in the unhealthy way, that I have been, I so much of my life ever since that time happened, I've been trying to lose weight, that I practically, for a time, I don't do this anymore, but there was actually a time where I was practically giving myself eating disorders, if you know what I mean, just trying to lose my stomach and everything, and I still haven't gotten it, even though I've auditioned for it a few times out here in New York. I think twice out here in New York I've auditioned for it, and I still haven't gotten it. And I look in the, I just recently looked at myself in the mirror, and I've actually realized, oh my god, I've actually gained weight around my stomach. So while you actually had to build up on the muscles, I'm trying to lose it. So,
Well, I
but
used to be a personal trainer, and I will say that it's it's not easy to lose weight when you feel you're over your ideal weight. In the same way, it's not easy to gain weight either. Really, the first 5 pounds that you lose when you exercise is all water anyway, and
right,
then after that, the standard safest way to lose weight is about a pound a pound every 2 weeks to a pound a month, a pound every 2 weeks. And that's with a consistent exercise plan and consistent diet. And by diet, I don't mean starving yourself. I don't mean denying. I mean like proper food, proper nutritious food that's going to help you repair the muscles that you damage when you work out, because that's what you're doing. You're damaging your muscles as you're and ripping the microfibers, and then they repair themselves, they rebuild bigger. That's how it works. And when it
Mm.
comes to weight loss, it's again, it's work. It's doing the cardio and doing all the things that will help you while you're eating still what your body needs to be healthy. But at the same time, it's not even just so much calories. A lot of people are so focused on that, and that's a mistake because they forget about the nutrition part. Your body still needs nutrition. There's good fat, there's bad fat. Good fat is, the omega 3s and 6s from fish oil, salmon, tuna, whatever. And so, yeah, it's so I hear you, man. It's not easy. But I will say that I hope that one day you get a chance to maybe play that role. I understand what it's like to have a dream role. So yeah, I hope one day you get a chance to do that, man.
thank you. Um,
And I got
before I,
something to say too.
yeah, go ahead, Casey.
And I lost 100 pounds.
Wow.
Yep.
Congratulations. That's amazing.
I used to be at 219 and went from 219 to 125 pounds.
Excellent.
Yep.
Way to go,
I
girl.
go work out. I ride a bike everywhere. So
Congratulations. Yeah, that's an accomplishment. That really is. That's
thank
amazing.
Before I was actually gonna pass this on to Casey or whatever, but before I do, I before I forget, I must say, Mackenzie Westmore says hello. I actually just about I follow her on her live TikToks and everything whenever she's working out. Speaking of working out, and whenever she does her workouts on the treadmill and stuff like that on her live TikToks, and she communicates with her fans and everything. And I messaged her. I even asked her if she would appear here and everything, and she told me to contact with this one woman friend of hers who I also know on TikTok named Ruth, and said talk to her, she will get back to me. And the last thing I heard from Ruth was Mackenzie Westmore can definitely do the show, but she's fully booked for the rest of the year, so you're gonna have to wait until sometime next year. And I said, that's fine, that's fine. We're gonna be doing this show for hopefully for a while. We're just trying to pick it up. But anyways, when I was on, I think it was about maybe 2 or 3 days ago, when I was on her live TikTok, I told her we got our very first celebrity guest star from the show on, and she goes, who is it? And I said, it's Donn Swaby. And she goes, oh my god, Donn, I love Donn, tell Donn I said hi. And I said, oh, I will. And so yeah, I was like, I gotta tell him that before I forget. So um
Thank you. Yeah. Yeah. Mac is an awesome person. And you know, I try to keep up with her a little bit too on Facebook. So yeah, I see she's doing a lot of great things.
Yeah. Um, but yeah, I know that Casey here, she actually has even written down a number of questions for you, because before you begin, Casey, I'll just say I'm embarrassed to admit this for how big of a Passions fan I am. I'm obsessed with it. I still say, even though it's been off the air for years, it's still my favorite show of all time. I miss it every single day. But even though I'm still this major, major, major Passions fan, I'm embarrassed to admit it. I hadn't watched it for very long before it finally ended. I, the truth of the matter is, I also, I mean, don't take this the wrong way, bro, but the fact of it is that I actually never saw any of your episodes when you were on the show. By the time I started watching the show, Charles Divins had already taken over for Chad and everything. I started like my very first episode was basically, I don't know if you ever watched the show afterwards, but my very first episode that I ever started with the show, I came in so late, was basically the episode when Kay was trying to pick between Fox and Miguel to marry, and she chose Fox. And that was the beginning of Passions for me, and I watched every episode all the way to the end. I've missed a lot. So yes, I do watch it on YouTube. I've watched a lot of the first, I have seen you on the YouTube episodes and all that stuff and everything. Probably I mean, Casey, I don't know if you remember this line or whatever, but I don't even know if you would remember this, man. But again, it's just been so many years. I don't know what you remember and what you don't remember. I know that some actors, after they leave a role, they kind of just forget about a lot of the stuff and everything and all that stuff. And I'm just somebody who has a memory of that stuff. Probably my favorite line of yours, if I remember correctly, was "You are a hard-headed woman." That's probably my favorite line of yours that you say to Whitney or whatever. You are a hard-headed woman. I love that line. And but like I said, I still haven't seen the show from beginning to end, whereas Casey, on the other hand, has basically been watching since day one and everything. I didn't come in until later, so I believe she probably has a lot more questions than I have or whatever. I mean, Casey, you said you wrote down a few things that you wanted to ask.
Yeah,
Chance to talk.
I did.
Yeah, well, why don't you go ahead and say a few words? I don't want to ramble our time away here.
Okay, trying to talk clearly. How did you get into acting and how old were you?
I started acting pretty much in school, with school plays, like most people I would imagine, getting cast in high school plays and discovering then, my freshman year, actually in high school, we did a play called No Time for Sergeants, which is a comedy that takes place in the military. It was actually an old film, an old black and white film, starring Andy Griffith, who is an older actor, late actor, used to do the Andy Griffith Show
Yeah.
many moons ago, and then he did a show called Matlock in the '80s. Anyway, that was the first play that I really realized while doing that show. Oh my gosh, I really enjoy doing this, and this is something that I will continue to keep doing. And by the time I was a junior in high school, and I started looking at colleges, junior into senior year colleges, and I noticed I was looking at colleges that had an acting program, and I think that was the moment that for myself I realized, oh, that's because that's something I really think I want to do for a living. And that was the first time I think I thought of myself as a wanting to aspire to be a professional actor.
Yeah, I want to be in acting too, but I never got the opportunity to go get it because, you know, I have a disability, so I'm slow, like I'm a slow learner, so yeah.
Well,
And
I
my
was going to
other,
say there are you know, other for example, I mean, I'm sure you may sort of know this, but I mean, I grew up in the 80s where I remember seeing Marlee Matlin as an actress, a deaf actress, uh, who became famous in the 80s, starting with the film Children of a Lesser God, which is actually a play first, and then she did the film version with an actor named William Hurt. It's a great play. It's a great film. And my brother and I have a brother who has profound hearing loss, younger brother, his whole life. So I was already familiar in a sense with, you know, because of my brother, with somewhat in terms of uh, you know, in terms of the deaf culture and deaf people, because my brother. So when I saw her, it was like, oh, great. Hey, this is somebody who is has hearing loss, and yet she's been able to uh, create a phenomenal career for herself as an actor. And then other people that I'd seen over the years as well. Um, there was a show, Wilford Brimley was an older actor, like a grandpa looking guy. He had his big handlebar mustache. He was in the grandfather in a show where the main character's name was Corey, and Corey was well, today I guess we would say neuralistically divergent, but had also he had Down syndrome. Can't remember the name of the actor, but Life Goes On. That's the name of the show. It was early 90s, I think. It was a show called Life Goes On. Yeah, Patty Lupone, the famous Broadway actress, played his mom in the show. So, so all I was going to say with that is that, hey, you know, that it's never too late. It's never too late. There's community theater everywhere. I don't know where you are, but uh, you never know. So,
I'm in, I'm in Troy, Ohio, so there's one in Troy, over by my park. I think there's a little place for like plays and stuff. Yeah, I'm thinking about probably getting that. So,
okay.
I myself I'm disabled as well. I have autism, Asperger's. I've been affected by it the majority of my life. A lot of theaters, including my high school, the very minute that they find out that I have autism, they don't want me. I mean, yeah, they'll let me audition, but they know right away that they don't want me.
You
Um,
know what's interesting? One of the last plays I saw was a play that a friend of mine was, I think he was in it. Pretty sure he was in it. That's why I went to see it. And I forgive me because I can't remember the title of this play. However, the play basically is like a theatrical version of the film Mrs. Robinson. Is no, well, the film is not Mrs. Robinson. It's Dustin Hoffman plays like the graduate, a college graduate who falls in love with an older woman, and Anne Bancroft and Dustin Hoffman. I've never seen the film, but I know of it. And I saw a play version a couple of years back in LA, and I noticed that the young guy they had for the younger actor in the play, he's in the younger actor who basically has a romantic ends up having this sort of romantic, you know, but innocent and romantic relationship with this much older woman, more like his grandmother.
ooh,
And it's in a very interesting play. I wish I could remember the title of it. I could look it up. But the actor I thought was really peculiar because I'm like, wow, he's just had a certain way about how he was delivering his lines. And I found out afterwards from my friend that, oh yeah, he has, you know, he has autism. And this, in fact, that's why he got the role, because the director, I guess, wanted someone who had a particular way of being a delivery that they felt fit the character. And it was, and that's an interpretation, of course,
Hmm.
of that, which I thought was interesting. So again, the crazy thing about acting and the whole thing of it is that, it's like beauty is in the eye of the beholder. The right person is in the eye of the director. A different director is going to cast different people. Oh, that's
Sure.
my guy. And another director, that's my guy. Oh, that's my, it's not, everybody does not have the same opinion about something. So at the end of the day, the reality is that, um, that even with saying, oh, I have Asperger's, that may in all situations may not necessarily exclude you from getting cast, like the example I just gave you.
Yeah.
So again, you never know what somebody else is looking for, that they go, oh my God, that's it. You have that thing, and you're like, yeah, but this is the thing that I actually think is a detriment. What? Yeah, well, whatever. But that's what we want for this role. You see, you never know.
Yeah. Casey, before you go on or whatever, I must ask this before we run out of time because you have like 13 minutes left. This is something I think Casey and I both want to know and hopefully this is not a too personal. And again, if you don't have to answer if you don't want to, but just out of curiosity, when you were on Passions, um, if you don't mind my asking, what was your reason that you left the show? I mean, is there a specific reason why you just up and left or whatever? I mean, next thing you know, we had Charles Dibbons taking over your role, so
Sure. I mean, I've answered that question many, many, many times over the years.
I just didn't know that you never
So
know.
yeah,
Some actors choose to leave. Some actors got fired. I mean, I know that some actors, if they got fired, they don't want to admit that. So you never know. So just want to be sure it's a safe question. Yeah.
so the answer to your question is that at the time I had made that decision, that I had just, for several reasons, had wanted to do other things. The the year before that, I had been interest. NBC took an interest in me for a talk show that was going to be like the male version of The View, and so they needed 4 male co-hosts, and my name was mentioned. Donn Swaby from Passions. Let's consider him. So I met the producers of the talk show, and we hit it off. They thought I was going to be great. It was going to be like me and Dick Clark, the late Dick Clark. Can't remember, a couple other actors, Mario Lopez and somebody else. Passions just stopped that. They basically, I got a message from my agent that your Passions producers are saying no. They're saying they don't want you doing anything else. So I took that personally back then. I shouldn't have, and shouldn't take anything personally. I mean, that's again part of my spiritual belief, is that the reality is that anything I say or do is about me. It's about, if I'm saying something, if I'm projecting something onto you or whatever, it's not about you. It's about me. So if I say something to you, that's me saying something based upon what I'm thinking and feeling. It has nothing to do with who you are as a person. So anyway, either way, like I said, I sort of got offended by their by that control that they seem to have over my career. Like, oh yeah, we're not going to let you do anything else. So when it came time for negotiations, I said to my agent, I don't want any more money. The money's great. I just want to have a little bit more freedom to do some other things. And the irony was that I was already doing other things. I had a theater company. I'd already done several plays. In fact, the first play that I had done out here that starred a couple of my Passions co-stars, uh, uh, and Travis Schultz and Lindsay Corman, who became Lindsay Hartman later on. And I was also doing music. I was in bands playing, and I just said, okay, well, if they won't let me do other things, I'm out. And I remember my manager at the time, I was talking to my manager too, and she said, "Are you sure, Donn?" I'm like, "Yeah." That was it. She hung up and she made the call. And that was it. I was off the show. And then I finished out my last year. I finished out I had a month left or something. And I finished out the show. And yeah, you know, do I've asked myself, and to be honest with you, to be blunt, I had many years of regret, not right away. That regret sort of came about maybe 5, 6, 7 years later, and when I realized that I was hitting a plateau in my career, and I wasn't getting cast as much, wasn't getting called in as much, and that's when other friends of mine, one was my former uh, uh, fan club president, who also had done my first website, and she was a friend of mine by that point, and then my former manager, and they both, in their own way, basically said, "Well, hey, man, um, the truth is you were not on that show long enough on Passions to be able to create for yourself what's called a platform. And by platform, I don't mean like social media or like the internet. I mean a platform in terms of just a brand. Sorry, not a platform, a brand. You did not, and this is before the term branding even became a thing. But I was not there long enough to be able to establish that. Whereas, in a quick counterpoint, an actor like Omar, no, not Omar, not Omar Epps. Hello. He's very, very good looking. I would even go so far as to
Is he
say
a
pretty.
Bosco?
He was on Y&R. I can't remember his name, but anyway, it'll come back to me. He is an actor who was on Y&R for like over a decade. Shamar Moore, and he was doing films and so forth. And that was a good example of, okay, this is somebody who did something long enough that they became a brand, so that it's the I just blanked on his name again. The Shamar Moore brand. Whereas there was no Donn Swaby brand. There wasn't that. I wasn't an entity, a thing that can go, okay, well, yeah, having him on a show is going to bring all this gravitas because, he's a brand now. It's a thing. I just didn't have that. So because of that, uh, I realized that my position in the industry was tenuous, and either way, in the bigger picture, my life was going through a lot of change anyway. So at the end of the day, I just had to deal with that regret, and I had to deal with those feelings, which it took me a while. I mean, to sift through it and to heal myself from it, to forgive myself for making that decision and all other decisions when I was younger. At the end of the day, as the older you get, sometimes that your older self wants to have a conversation with the younger self, and maybe reach through time and smack him in the head and go, hey, wise up, man. But at the end of the day, we make the decisions we make, and I do believe that everything is for a reason and a purpose, and everything is the way it's supposed to be. So that is something that I had to eventually get my way back to feeling and believing that, hey, everything's for a reason. You left because you left, and that's okay. It is what it is. I wasn't the only one who left. A lot of people left. I wasn't the first person who'd left that show. And I had no idea what was going to happen when I did. It was a chance I took. But that's what life is. Life is, you make a decision, see what happens. So,
Did you
so yeah,
ever
so that's pretty much it.
did you ever watch the show after you left? I mean, did you actually see what became of your
No,
character?
no, I didn't. No, I'll be honest with you. I was not a huge fan of the show, to be honest.
Really?
And by that, I mean, I liked working with the people. I definitely liked working with my co-stars, and working with the crew, the directors. I like working. I like the art of it, the creating something, creating a story, playing a character, helping tell a story. Um,
Hmm.
but other than that, the passions itself just wasn't my thing. Although ironically, interestingly enough, I grew up watching soap operas because of I had a sitter, a child sitter, a babysitter when I was a kid, my brother and I. And my mother also watched soap operas. And I remember in junior high, Because our babysitter, she would force us to watch her soap operas before we could watch cartoons in the afternoons after school.
Oh,
We went to her house. So that's how I kind of got into them. And I was watching NBC soap operas. And in fact, I loved the show Another World. That was for like, I remember in my junior high, seventh and eighth grade, I remember watching that show a lot. And the irony, of course, is that Passions replaced Another World. So I ended up being on the show that replaced the one that I had watched when I was a kid.
ah, okay. Hmm.
So you see
Oh,
how
I
life,
might
yeah,
never.
life. Yeah, the older I get, there's a lot of these full circle interesting moments, and how things connect is very interesting. It's one of those things where I say, uh, and that's why I can say this because I know this is personally true, that when you follow your bliss, that is where the magic of life happens. When you follow your bliss, when you do the thing you love, when you go for the thing that gives you joy, that is when the magic of life happens. That is when life responds to you and meets you halfway. That's when synchronicity happens. That's when, what people call them coincidences, but I don't believe in coincidence. I believe in things lining up and aligning because they're meant to in a certain way. And so to me, it's not a surprise that I ended up on a show that replaced the show that I used to watch when I was a kid. Just that, like, I'm not surprised that I moved to Studio City in Los Angeles, which happens to be the same neighborhood or the same area where the late Eddie Van Halen, the guitar virtuoso, guitarist for Van Halen, lived. Who's my all-time favorite musician ever, who I bumped into literally 3 times. I mean, I met him 4 times, once in New York, 3 times in uh, Studio City, just running about and just seeing him somewhere on the street and stopping and having a 5-minute conversation with Eddie Van Halen, who's my guitar hero, and me trying to be just, and I've met, a lot of actors, musicians, people, New York and here. And I'm one of those people where I'm very much like, uh, hey, you're just a regular person. I'm a regular person. And I just want to say, hey, I think by regular, I mean, you're approachable. I am going to say, hey, I recognize you from da 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 da, and I'm a big fan. Just want to say, I love your work, bro. I love your, or if it's a woman, I love your work. But just being genuine and being down to earth, and that's how Eddie was with me, even though I kind of wanted to freak out inside. I'm like, oh my God, I am standing here on the, in front of 7-Eleven or in front of this restaurant or whatever with Eddie Van Halen. And same thing with another musician. My two favorite bands growing up were Van Halen and a band you probably don't know called King's X, which King's X, long story short, is one of the greatest bands that most people don't know. They are one of the greatest rock bands ever in rock history. They sound like the Beatles, harmony-wise, vocally, but very heavy, but super melodic. Anyway, the lead singer is a guy named Doug Pinnick, and I used to have a poster of King's X as well as, Eddie and Van Halen and bands on my wall. So over the years, uh, I went from being a fan of Doug Pinnick, the lead singer, bass player of King's X, in that band, and the band, and knowing King's X, to becoming friends. It's somewhere maybe 10 years ago, we sort of crossed over from being fan and musician to friends. Doug, in fact, moved out here to LA over a decade ago. And then 3 or 4 years ago, I mean, I just moved to Reseda. I always say this trivia wise, but I live right around the corner from Daniel LaRusso from Karate Kid. In fact, the very house, the apartment building that him and his mom moves into in the original film that they drive up to is like 2-minute drive from my house, where it says South Seas. They still actually have the original thing, which they used in the Cobra Kai show, in fact. So anyway, not to digress, but Doug Pinnick lives maybe 10 minutes, 15, less than 15 minutes from me. And in fact, I bumped into him at our gas station, at the Ralph supermarket. I've seen him. We go out to lunch. And I will bring that up to say that, and I've said this before, if I got into a time capsule and went back in time to when I was 13 and told my 13-year-old self, dude, you're going to be on a show that replaces the show you're watching. You see these guys on your walls, they're going to be living, you're going to be living in their same, and these are your idols. And you're going to be meeting these people and several times. And then one of them, you're going to become friends with, and you can become friends with the lead singer of one of your favorite bands over time. And so that's it. And so I look at my life now and I'm like, and again, I believe in synchronicity, and I believe that things kind of do that way. So, uh, uh, and there's many other things I could point out to my life that I think that if I looked at my first 15, 20 years of my life and all the dreams and the things that I had, they manifest, guys, in some way, shape, or form. A lot of the things that I used to dream about or think about, even relationships and who I wanted to be with, and dare I say it, in the relationships that I've had, those people, those women that I've had relationships with, have been reiterations of that dream of, oh, I was obsessed with, Russian history, and I sort of had a sort of fantasy romance with the ghost of Anastasia Romanov, who was the fourth daughter of the last Tsar of Russia before the revolution, the Bolshevik Revolution in the early 1920s, 17. And my first wife is half Hungarian, half Russian, for example. It's just things like that, things that show up in my life in a different way. And I realize this is showing up now because 10, 15, 20 years ago, I had this idea, or I had this dream, or this thought, or I love this band, or I love this thing. And so that's what I'm saying. Um, what you love, pursue it, because eventually things will manifest related to that, because the universe is listening and to us, and hears our thoughts, and feels our passion. Okay, no pun intended, but feels that passion that you have. So, I always tell people, follow your bliss, follow it, because that's where the magic happens.
Wow. Well,
Exactly.
I think we have enough time for just one more question before our time is up. And Casey, I'm going to let you have it so that you can have some time to ask our guests here one of your other questions that you have before our time is up.
Okay. What is your favorite memory of the show?
My favorite memory of the show is honestly just working with the people, generally. So I'll give you two answers to that. The first one is just a general, hey, I loved the working with the co-stars that I worked with, the other actors, the people on the set, the crew were great bunch of people to work with and be around. Very friendly. It's like a family. It's whenever you're on a show, it becomes a family. And specifically, I loved doing what I call those 2-week marathon uh, entire cast events. Those episodes, for example, the boat where there was the prom boat and then the boat sank and they were all at sea,
Yep.
that type of thing. Or once there was a fire, the fire of hell, and we're trying to rescue some character from the fires of hell and demons and all this, craziness. Those I loved simply because it I'm going to preface this by saying that I'm not a masochist. I don't like suffering. I do not like pain. I don't like being uncomfortable. Having said that, whenever we had those 2 week event, guys, where it's the whole cast, our average shoot days, normally our average shoot days might be uh, might be a 6, 7, 8 hour day where you're on set from, morning, you have rehearsal, then you go away, and then you come back from, like, let's say 1 to 4 or 3 to 5 or whatever to do your scenes. And then you go home. That's it. When we have those big events, guys, all of us are on set all day for 17 hours average. 17 out
Oh,
of
wow.
24. Think about it. So calculate that. Every day, 5 days, or sometimes 6. Sometimes with those events, we would actually shoot on a Saturday. So we would even be shooting 6 days, 17, 18-hour days. You would get home and like 12:30, eat some food, eat some cereal, walk my dogs. I had a puppy then. And then 1 in the morning, I'm like memorizing lines for the next day. go to sleep, maybe get 6 hours, get up at 7:30, 7:15 the next morning to go to rehearsal
Mm.
for the next day, which is exhausting. That's an exhausting schedule, guys.
Like,
But that's
Yeah.
that's TV. That's how it happens. And yet, I will say that, there's something in me that responded to that with a sense of a challenge. Like, yeah, this it's like rock and roll acting, man. This is not light stuff. This is not for the weak, the weak-hearted, as far as the physical amount. I mean, for example, when we were doing the fire thing, and I think we're all playing, like, the volunteer, which is kind of silly now when you think about it, an all volunteer fire force. And it's, of course, it happens to be all the actors in the show are the Harmony volunteer fire thing. And so we had to wear this heavy, that gear was like, is heavy, that weighs like pounds. And we were all sweating profusely under that. I lost 10 pounds in 2 weeks during those
Oh,
2 weeks of
wow.
filming that. I lost 10 pounds. And I had developed a rash over, like, my chest and my arms from sweating, because they had to spray our clothes with this fire retardant, because there was fire on the set, actually real fire on the set, and controlled, of course. But that the whatever chemical they sprayed, with my sweat, gave me a rash. So, I'm tired. We're tired every day, losing weight, rashes all over, but having the time of our life. Because this is what we want to do. This is our thing. Same thing like when we did the prom thing in the boat. I love that, guys. Those 2 weeks, we had these huge tanks that were about 6 feet, only 6 feet deep, water tanks that literally took up 3/4 of the studio lot. If you've ever been inside a studio, it's like a big,
I,
like an airplane hangar. It's huge, with all these multiple sets that are already, set up. And so, for this, they had like more than half of this entire airplane hangar with this huge pool. They had these dumpsters, like, like a garbage dumpster. They had these huge dumpsters set up so that they were like these, tidal waves. They would dump all that water out of 2 or 3 dumpsters. They had these huge giant fans that would blow the water. So when just before the director would say action, the fans would start blowing, the water would start moving, and then they'd be ready, dump that water, and you gotta, you're acting above water, pretending to tread water, and then acting underwater too, a couple of times where they actually had a camera underwater. Just really exciting stuff, a lot of technical stuff, and exhausting, because again, we're still talking 15, 16, 17, 18-hour days, guys, out of 24 hours. Okay. It's called a pushed call, by the way. When you get less than 8 hours sleep, you get it. So we did get a little bit more money because of that per episode, because if they can't guarantee that you have at least 8 hours after you between being released from set, for the martini take, as we'd called it, the martini take. Well,
Martini.
because the
Yeah.
martini shot is known in the industry as the last shot of the project, of the day. So the martini shot, right? Because the idea is that afterwards, whoever drinks, hey, we're going to go to the bar and get a martini. Well, we called it the martini shot. So, you know, that martini shot, we're talking 18-hour days until you get to that point. There was a point where me, Travis, and Galen were on a speedboat, and there was a guy with a gun that we had to overpower. And there's a huge action scene where, like, I'm jumping across the boat, we're punching and we're jumping. I remember jumping to grab the gun because Galen's character, knocks the gun out of the guy's hand. Meanwhile, they've got the fans blowing the water. And the sprinklers. They had tons of sprinklers. So it's raining. The wind is blowing with these huge giant fans all around everybody. And I remember that one of those days, that day that we shot that scene, we took a break, and I remember getting my robe and getting into my robe with my wet clothes. My clothes are, soaked. Got my robe on, and then 10 minutes later, like, okay, we got to go. And I took off the robe, guys, and they started those fans blowing, and they started the rain. I started moaning. I was in such agony. In fact, I have to like bite down on my teeth like this to keep from chattering. so I wouldn't chatter my lines. I'm like, because you got to still
Oh,
talk. And then of course, once the action started, and once the director said action, it was fine. And then I forgot all about the cold. It was just that moment of like, you're all nice and warm with wet clothes on, with the robe, but then I had to take off the robe, go back onto set. Now I'm in wet clothes with 6 fans blowing. like, oh my gosh, I am so miserable right now. I am so miserable. But I'm like, I know in 2 seconds I won't be, because he'll sell action, and then we start moving and you're fine. Right. Uh so yeah, man, I loved those types of scenes and those events on the show, because there was something about it that was grueling at the same time, that it was just so much fun. Because it's like, yeah, even with all of that uncomfortableness, and even all through that exhaustion, guys, still having the time of my life. So.
wow. Sounds like a blast, man. Oh man, I wish I could. I wish I could remember episodes like that. Like I said, I didn't watch that far back, but anyways, well, you know what? That's the end of this show. So sad, because it was probably like the most fun and everything, having our first guest star on the show. Man, you're the best. I'm glad you could be here, man. Thank you so much and
Thanks for
everything.
inviting me.
If
Thank
there's
you.
I mean, if you end up having any more, other free times, everything, we'd love to have you back. We probably have a lot more questions and everything, but in the meantime and everything, um just all of you out there, just remember, we hope to get more passion guest stars. Just cross your fingers. We're really trying here, people. And if you are a fan of passions, and if you want to be a guest appearance, be a guest star, don't be shy. Just leave your name and your social media down below in the comments, and either myself or Casey will reach out to you somehow, and we'll try and get you on somehow. We'll book you and all that stuff, and just let us know. Please tune in with us next weekend on Sunday and everything, same time. And just thank you very much. Thank you, Casey. Thank you, Donn.
You're
Everybody,
welcome.
I'm Joe Velasquez.
And Casey Metcalf.
Thank you. And just remember, everybody, you are our passions for life. Thank you. Thank you, everybody. Yes. And